Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelled Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today we're back from a little breaky break. I had a little breaky break. I had to let all the dust settle. I just had to take a breath, let the dust settle, breathe it in, get in the Olympic spirit. And in the spirit of the Olympics here, we've gone continental again. Joining us, Catherine Daphne Kneen, representing Australia. Hello, Catherine.
Did it for the country.
And,
thanks, Mum and Dad. Thanks for all the training hours.
Getting up at 5.
Yep.
Driving to the pool. Obviously, pool medals for Australia. And representing Team GB, it will be. Always seem to compete as Team GB, not as Team England. Andy Bell, how you going, buddy?
Hello. We're good at shooting and cycling and riding.
Not a lot of bike lines or guns in Britain either. So what's that all about?
Yeah.
Don't know. Fluke, I guess. No idea at all. I mean, I guess I'm chuffed about the horse riding because that's kind of our thing. But yeah, I mean, apart from that and tiddlywinks, I think that we're in for a good result.
I do love watching some of the equestrian and listening to, because we always have a posh English lady on commentating, and it's fantastic. I just love her. No.
Lady Winthorpe or something like that.
Talking about, wonderful lines. Oh, he's a very good horse.
I went to the equestrian at London because it was like one of the only tickets I could get. So I was in London for the Olympics, and it was literally about less than a kilometre from my front door because it was in Hackney, and yeah, I went to the equestrian and I went to the road race, but then I got the Paralympics was much better. I went to the one night of the athletics at the stadium for the Paralympics and the Australian gold medal wheelchair basketball match,
awesome.
Which Australia won. So that was awesome as well. So yeah, just rolling the spirit now. So, in the spirit of the Olympics.
If I'm honest, I do prefer the what do they call it? What's the most modern
Paralympics
title for the is it the Paralympics?
Yeah.
Yes. It's not the Special Olympics, if that's what you're asking.
No. God, no. I thought it had changed again recently to be a little bit more inclusive. But no, I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, it does make me laugh when the UK start winning the traditional medals that we normally get. Especially horse riding. Look at the fetlocks on that girl. Oh, she's 12 hands high. All that Johnny Hockey.
They're all boss nasses.
Yeah,
it's all Brian Blessed. Oh, you think you're no better than the British at the lady. We so like this.
It's funny.
Who is also very famously Grampy Rabbit in Peppa Pig. Brian Blessed. Cross over to the Peppa Pig podcast if you're not already listening.
I'd say he's a national treasure, but I think he's a worldwide treasure, really, isn't he? In a lot of things.
Absolutely.
The man's a legend.
Yes, Star Wars. Don't get him at Celebration. Get Brian Blessed at Celebration. Why was he not at Celebration London?
I think he's getting on a bit now, and
Yeah.
he's probably. Not particularly PC when it comes down to
we can't have Blessed dropping some truths on the stage of Celebration.
I mean, he's never been shy at coming forward in terms of his vocabulary and his expletives. So I reckon he'd be. I don't know. If we have a show over here called "Have I Got News for You?" I don't know if you've ever seen it when he has presented. It's basically a fun comedy game panel show whereby lots of different comics join this game show whereby they just basically rip the crap out of the latest week in media or the latest week in news, and he has hosted and guested quite a few times, and it's hilarious because he's not, like I said, he's not shy at coming forward. So I reckon him at a Star Wars convention, it would have to be probably after hours, like a PG or a rated 15 kind of event where I would love to listen just just for the guy to speak.
Maybe
I would love to listen to him speak.
Get him on a non-official Star Wars stage. You know, like Catherine, we have in Melbourne, like your supernovas, or you know, what I mean, like it's not necessarily celebration, but it's like, hey, it's Comic Fest Manchester, and Brian Blessed's going to come on, and he's going to drop some truths about Boss Nass. Has Boss Nass ever turned up in anything else, Catherine? Do you seen him in any?
I'm trying to think to Clone Wars, because I know there were a few Gungan stories in there. I can't remember if Boss Nass turned up in there. And the sound you hear now is everybody, going to Wikipedia.
Looking it up, yeah. Which is a bit weird considering Andy's doing it right now. But considering, Brian Blessed also does a lot of voice work. So you'd think that you could get Boss Nass in animation, or like maybe one of the Lego things or something maybe, or...
I can't remember the Lego
things. I just don't remember. Like you said, there's been Gungan stuff, but I don't remember Boss Nass ever sort of popping up in anything again. Nass Watch.
I can't find it. I don't think he is.
That seems very weird.
I don't think
he might have
is.
Said something inappropriate at a Star Wars dinner and got blacklisted.
Could well be. Could well be.
So we're back after we took a week off. After the Acolyte wrapped a week ago, and this is actually the Acolyte Roundtable episode where we're just sort of going to talk about the series as a whole now that the dust has settled, rather than just sort of focus on the finale itself. It's kind of funny, like Star Wars life goes on. Do you guys kind of go, I'm missing my weekly Star Wars little hit?
Yeah, I mean, it's that weekly, engaging that part of my brain, and then listening or watching, lots of people talk about it, think about it,
argue about it.
Yeah.
Does it?
Hopefully not argue.
Everybody keeps it civil. Well, it's funny because it's like, the show's ended now. I haven't really been on a lot of Star Wars Twitter, to be honest. I don't know what they're arguing about, but it kind of feels like the world moves on pretty quick. It was the be all and end all, and it was the death of Star Wars and everything else in between. And the show ends, and everyone kind of gets on with their lives. Andy, that sort of.
Yeah, I mean, to your first point, it's sad that we don't have something to bring us all together. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy our engagements, across various different ways and means, but it was nice for as long as it lasted to get everyone together talking about the same thing, whether we liked it or not. There's some, like I keep repeating myself on many different ways and in many very different platforms that for those people that I really respect their opinion, and they're genuinely not haters. It didn't land with them. I respect that, and they give usually very intelligent answers as to why they didn't like it or didn't land with them perhaps as much as other properties. But I'm going to miss that for a while, and we've got a long wait now until, is it December, I think.
Have they even announced a date for Skeleton Crew?
No, but like stuff is sort of leaking. Like that poster turned up in a thrift shop or whatever it was.
Yeah,
which is very weird. Is it? Do you think it's a plant? Do you think someone actually just took it and was like, I'm just going to leave it here and see if anything, like I've got it, rather than, I've got it, I'm going to actually, like I've got this through nefarious means, whether I've nicked it from somewhere or I know someone who knows something, but I will hang it in a thrift shop, take a photo of it so it looks like that's where it is, so it can't be traced back to me.
No.
Is that too elaborate?
I would like to think so. If there was a history of clever marketing, and unfortunately there isn't. And there are other properties that we know and love that have been really, really good at leaking stuff and sharing little tidbits, even if there's no substance behind it. Whereas even at the height of its excitement, unfortunately the marketing team over at Lucasfilm haven't been the best at marketing, unfortunately. And while I'd like to think so, I have to think no.
My theory is that it's something that something that somebody worked on at Lucasfilm. They brought it home. And their mum said, "Oh, you've got more crap in your room. Clean up your room." And mum's gone in and cleaned up stuff and taken it to the thrift store. Like how many people?
You just get home and you're like,
Kenner's,
that piece
Kenner's figures back in the day.
It's just such a weird. It's so weirdly specific. It's such a I don't know. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's a marketing genius ploy. I think, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was just a way to somebody wanted to leak it because they got it from somewhere, but they didn't want to put their name on it, so they just said they found it in a store or hung it in a store and waited for someone to tweak and take a photo of it. It'd just be weird if you're just walking in a shopping. It'd be just so weird. Like we've got like these, like you have them in shopping centers near you, Catherine, I'm sure, where it's sort of like the $2 shop where it's all this kind of random crap. And my favorite thing about the $2 shop is the toy section because you get the weird Chinese knockoffs where it's like, oh, here's a thing where it's like a Batman figure with a Superman figure with a Star Wars figure, and it's it's got this weird sort of mishmash artwork on it, and it's like Super Friends or whatever it is on it. Yeah. And
That's right up my alley. Yeah, I love that.
All the weird bootleg stuff.
I love that.
And I reckon that, potentially that there we go. Oh, he's got a bootleg. Oh, flat top Chewbacca from Shadows of the Empire. Love all of that.
Wrong size, wrong color, completely painted incorrectly with a boss eye. It's my favorite, collectible of all time ever.
So that's sort of like the big Star Wars thing that's happened. Well, Star Wars Outlaws comes out in a few weeks as well, which I'm looking forward to. We'll touch on that if we get time. But I mean, the Acolyte, it's wrapped. It's sort of done. There's a bit of a groundswell campaign at the moment to sort of renew the Acolyte. Let's get it out there. Let's keep the fire burning. From all reports, it seems like people watched it, for good or for bad, whether you hate watched it or love watched it or just watched it.
Well, at Comic-Con, there was a big display of costumes and props, and also there was announcements of tie-in books. So, like a young adult Yord and Jeckie novel, a book set 20 years in prior with Venestra and Indira. So there are those ongoing things. And yes, comics with Kanaka.
Kanaka.
Kalnaka.
You got it. You're pretty close. Acceptable.
Yep. So, those things are still rolling on. So you'd think if there wasn't some kind of like interest, they wouldn't have announced those.
It's definitely got. I mean, it's funny because it's like not everything has to. I mean, again, it's hard to gauge what the popularity is of this. It's popular with people that we know. It's not popular with some people we know. It seems to be getting enough eyes on it. But do you compare everything to a movie, or do you compare it to the other shows? Like, I feel like it's way more engaged than like Book of Boba Fett was, or even I think it's even way more engaged with than Ahsoka was. Probably, definitely, certainly more people talking about it. Bad Batch, yes and no, yeah, much more than some of the animation stuff, especially like the Young Jedi Adventures, which I think is obviously cheap to make, has enough of a market, sustains, does all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard to know what the pass mark is here to invest in a second season of the show. But I mean, the language it was coming out of Leslie Headland, she refused to say that she knew, but it certainly sounded more likely than not, would we say?
Yeah. D23's in a couple of weeks. So that'll be interesting.
There's quite a few. I think we'll get a Skeleton Crew trailer then.
Yep.
I think we'll get. Maybe they might show that Andor one. Catherine?
Sorry, can I interrupt? I know I asked this question on Discord, and I probably didn't ask the right question because I know Britt responded to me, and I think I misinterpreted what she was saying. Did we get anything from Comic-Con at all, apart from the books?
No, I think they only had a publishing. Okay. They only had a publishing presence. I think, and Hasbro had toys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But we didn't get anything on the future of Star Wars. Well, any indication? Sorry, any snippets for Skeleton Crew? We didn't get anything at all for Andor, and we certainly don't have any idea of what happened. It's going to happen after Andor. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Yeah.
that'll all be anything that they
Okay.
drop will likely be D23. Anything that they're not going to, anything that they want to tell us before Celebration will probably be at D23, which is in September. Catherine?
No, 2 weeks.
Oh, it's in 2 weeks. Oh shit, that was way off.
Yeah.
Lucky I didn't just book my flight. We're like, well, I'll book my time for D23 in 2 weeks. Yeah. So,
So Marvel, had a few big announcements at Comic-Con, which makes sense.
But they only did movies as well. They didn't do any TV, which makes you think that they'll do TV at D23.
Yeah, so they might do TV D23, but maybe Lucasfilm announcements are waiting until D23. I'm not sure. I'm just wildly speculating.
So the last D23, that was the last Lucasfilm one. What did they announce at the last time? Was that that long ago that it was Obi-Wan Kenobi, Lando? Was it that last? Has there been one since then?
Yeah, because there was one in 2022, I think.
Did they announce anything?
I think it's every 2 years.
Did they do Skeleton Crew there?
I can't remember because honestly, I learned more about D23 from my Disney Parks YouTube follows.
Well, I know what Space Mountain's up to, but I'm a little bit fuzzy on what Lucasfilm is doing.
And, no news about the People Mover. Sorry, that's a very niche joke.
Somebody right now is laughing, though.
Niche joke.
Hi,
Brittany.
Hi, Brittany, if you're listening. So there's definitely a window to definitely do Skeleton Crew, considering it's so close. We haven't seen any footage yet outside of that teaser at Celebration that some people saw. And now you've got that poster. Since it's already kind of out on the internet, it doesn't see any reason to not at least show that again, or whatever else, I don't know. But, and then Andor Season 2, I suppose maybe they'll get some footage. Maybe we'll get a date. Ahsoka Season 2 is confirmed. That has been confirmed, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Then that was sort of just like Dave Filoni just saying it or something.
Yeah.
And then, as far as we don't know about Acolyte yet, we don't know about any other IPs, whether they touch on the Rey movie, whether they touch on the Mando movie.
At Comic-Con, we did get that Mandalorian and Grogu will be released May 2026, but also May 2026 is going to be Avengers insert subtitle here. I can't remember it. So it's a very busy month for Pedro.
It is.
Yeah.
I think Robert Downey Jr. is getting some lessons from Pedro about how to, just do voiceovers and make millions of dollars.
Yeah, that one's hard. That one's
just weird. I know weird is the weird
I've
is
got
the
an open mind, man.
It just seemed a little desperate and a little bit lazy.
I've got a very very open mind, dude, but that's a really hard pill for me to swallow at the moment.
It just feels like, is it going to be like who was I talking to? Maybe. Oh no, I think I was talking to Kat about the Fantastic Four. Not that she particularly cares about that, but I was like, they're doing a Fantastic Four movie, and I don't really care about comic book movies, but it's got Vanessa Kirby in it from The Crown, who you like. It's got the boy from Stranger Things, Eddie, who you like, and it's got the cousin from The Bear, who you like, and it's got Pedro Pascal. And she's like, oh yes, I like all those people. That's very cool. And I was like, oh yeah, and then Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, and he's playing like Doctor Doom. She's like, oh, is it like an Austin Powers kind of thing where like he plays like a bunch of different characters?
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe it is like Austin Powers, where it's just it's clearly Mike Myers just with a shaved head or with fake teeth or something. Like Robert Downey Jr. looks like Robert Downey Jr. He still looks like Tony Stark. Like unless I guess it can be a Tony Stark variant or something, but you can't just be like, oh no, it's a totally different person.
Yeah.
I hope it's not a back pedal, if you know what I mean. I hope it's not the studio concluding that post Endgame it hasn't gone the way they wanted, so let's bring back the vibe of Endgame. Well, I'm sure there are easier ways of bringing back Tony Stark versus creating a new character for an old actor to play, or for an older actor to play. We'll see. I mean, we're completely going off at a tangent.
It's weird in
what I mean.
But even like in Attack of the Clones, where Ahmed Best and Anthony Daniels are in that bar for like 2 seconds. You know, two people who don't show their faces in Star Wars. Even that, I'm like, that's weird. Like, I know who that is. Okay,
yeah,
it's bloody C-3PO and Jar Jar Binks, and even like in Rise of Skywalker, you know, there's that
John Walker. John Williams.
Well, no. Mark Hamill does the voice of one of the you know, it's like win the war.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's just Hamill. Like, it sounds like Hamill. Now I'm just really aware that I'm watching a movie where Mark Hamill's just playing like another character. It's just, Anyway, maybe it's just suspending my disbelief. But anyway, let's just pivot back around to the Acolyte.
If they do it right.
If they do it right. Let's just talk about the Acolyte before we talk about other stuff here. Maybe we've said everything there is to say about it. I mean, we spoke about when it was done. I was definitely in the camp that I really, really, really liked it, and pretty much everything worked for me. And I like you, Andy, I've listened to people whose opinions I respect completely, who had issues with it, and even their issues, I was like, oh yeah, I could see that, but that didn't really bother me, or
no,
I didn't have those issues. I felt everything kind of worked. I liked the way that the plot was teased out. I liked that we didn't know stuff at certain times. I liked that it got revealed and all that kind of stuff. That all kind of worked for me. I liked all of that. But yeah, I haven't gone back and Kat hasn't finished watching it yet. We've still got 3 episodes to go. So that was that's where I'm going to go back and do my little encore. Have you guys gone back at all since you've watched it, or life's gone on?
No.
Catherine, after you?
No. Like, this is the problem. There's just so much out there at the moment that rewatching something, I almost feel guilty about it.
Especially with the Olympics on at the moment too, because it's sort of on in our evenings. So it's like we haven't finished season 3 of The Bear yet, and it's just like we love The Bear, and we're kind of going, well, we're just gonna. And I haven't finished The Boys. I haven't finished The Bear. There's a bunch of other.
I haven't
things.
finished Shogun.
I haven't even started Shogun.
Oh,
we're hurting Andy. We're hurting Andy.
Well, you need to watch Shogun. If you do anything this year, you've got to watch Shogun.
If you watch one show this year, it's the
Star
show.
Wars is my life, but this year Shogun has completely blown my socks off. It's something else. It really is.
How about you, Andy? Have you gone back?
Yeah, I did. So I was away, which is the reason why I couldn't be around for two of your weekly reviews. I went away on holiday for a couple of weeks, and of course I was watching these shows.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh dear!
Marvel Jesus has arrived.
Just broken the fourth wall. Matthew Moll has entered the chat. Hello, mate.
Hello, guys.
Nice to see you.
We just
finished our Marvel talk, actually. We were just saying that Robert Downey Jr. coming back to playing Doctor Doom is going to be like Austin Powers, where it's just going to be obviously the same actor with like fake teeth or something, or...
how are they going to make this work?
Yeah, you basically
This
were.
is exactly what we were saying.
I'm
exactly what we were saying.
happy to accept it, but a little confused. It reached desperation, but look, if anyone can pull it off, it's the Russo brothers and RDJ. Look, I mean, there's comic books, you know. There's one theory where it's Tony Stark on the inside, Doom on the outside. I don't know. Seriously.
In the words of the great Landonis Calrissian, I don't like it. I don't agree with it. but I accept it.
Yep. But look, after seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, and after what they pulled off there,
well, no spoilers yet. I mean, it's already kind of out there. I kind of already know what happens, but
bring it on.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, it's good that you just came here in time, mate, because obviously you missed the last couple of episodes. We were just pivoting. We weren't talking Acolyte. We were talking D23. We started a little bit late, so we haven't gone that far in. But we are back on the Acolyte. Where'd you feel it when it all sort of wound up? We haven't got straight from the mole's mouth yet. Did you shed a tear? Did you feel?
I definitely didn't shed a tear. What am I shedding? Oh, for Soul's death. Not really. No, I thought it was really good. Like, I mean, I enjoyed the shows. I mean, it was. I don't know. It seemed a bit obvious in the end. Like, you know, Camille was who he was. We saw Plagueis, Yoda at the end. That was. I thought. I don't know. I just.
Did you feel a sense of bewilderment when it finished by the sound of things, or were you just kind of like?
I just don't know where it's gonna go now. Like, I mean, my thing is like, is Plagueis sort of using the witches as the sort of testing ground for Anakin, or like, was Osha and May sort of the plan? You know, the experimental Plagueis test batch 1.
Plagueis didn't do them.
How do you know, Catherine?
Yeah, no, I think he's coming in now. I think he's kind of just caught wind that someone's done it.
Yeah.
Has anybody asked if Osha and May are a clone of Mother Anastasia? Like just a clone of her? Like, rather than...
Funny you should say that. I raised that question with our buddy Rick on his podcast, and it wasn't something that he considered, but subsequently I've been thinking about it a lot more since. As to whether this is like, I certainly think it's the start of something that leads to what becomes the tone, if not the thread, of the sequels, which could have been expertly not tied up, but continued with season 3 of Mando, but it ended up being something very, very different. But
do clones have do clones have the same, like, if you get the little midichlorian clicker on a clone and another, you get like Rex and freaking Cody stand next to each other, and you click and you take their blood.
Are they identical?
Yeah, are they identical?
Well, the last season of Bad Batch was all about testing the M counts of clones, and it wasn't like they just tested one. They were testing a lot and continuously. So that, to me, implies that they are different. And also it said in the show that even identical twins have different, like, M counts, or different symbionts, I should say. So that, to me, implies that Osha and May are different from that. They're not a clone. It's more implied that Plagueis learns about this ability to create life through virginces because of what happened here. That sort of starts him on this obsession that he then, hands on to, Palpatine. But it's been said that Anakin isn't a result of their experiments. Anakin is the Force creating a virgins. Anakin, in a way, is a response to what Plagueis and Palpatine are doing.
They're basically
that's
they're
why
in the weeds, and they're like, we've got to balance this out with a good
that's
thing, because they're like creating something like sort of So what about, Matt? Since, like I said, we missed your last couple of reactions. What about everything kind of went down on how it all kind of played out on Brendok with how everybody died and things? Did you feel satisfied? You're a bit just like, well, I guess that makes sense. It was, as we sort of talked about, escalating misunderstandings.
Yeah, so I mean, I actually watched that episode 2 nights ago with my wife, properly on the television. Because I mean, I was watching on my phone and iPad, rushing through,
while driving.
Not while driving, just in the privacy of wherever I was. But So did all the witches die when Trinity broke the spell on Kelnaka,
Yes.
or did they pass out?
No, they died. I think Leslie Headland said that she severed the connection to each other and they killed them because they were
really
So apparently they were all wooing, controlling Kanaka. She came in and severed it, and they all collapsed.
Far out.
Yeah, so it wasn't an intentional kill, but yeah, she killed them.
Far out. Wow. Because I thought that was just like, they were just, unconscious from the severance, and then because of the fire,
place kind of blew up around them. Yeah,
blew up around them. They're just collateral damage. But Jesus, that's pretty bad.
It was left a little bit ambiguous, wasn't it? Because of their reactions were kind of like so.
Which is weird because
one of the moments. So it's one of those moments. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those moments that I thought, well, that was a bit. It's probably one of the weaker moments for me because the actors just went, oh.
Yeah, I think they could have.
It was just a bit.
I think
even a couple of. If you just had a couple
I'm out of power.
Yeah. But if you actually had a couple of, even just a couple of insert shots of them really straining or their eyes, you know what I mean? Like almost like their eyes all lit up and then like the light goes out. Or you probably could have pushed that a little bit more to show that it was clearer, but
or even after Indira sort of almost whispering, like breathing, they're dead, like, or I've killed them, like
if you can't show it, tell them. Yeah, if you can't show it, tell it.
If she just sort of looks around, she's just like, oh my god, like they're all just like collapsed and what happened kind of thing. And
going like Gimli, that's 22.
That only counts as one. Look, nitpickies. So you down for season 2 though, Mole?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, like, I just find the portrayal. I mean, the Jedi are just really so off center. Really, like, what we see as the true Jedi way. They're so politically, and it's not what we're used to. Like, they've got agendas. They've got. And I'm not saying I got a problem with this. I mean, just the portrayal of what we've seen here is just they're so far off the path, and you can see how they end up losing sight of where they should be, and falling off the charts completely.
Sorry, I was going to say I think that actually makes it more interesting. I think it makes them more interesting, in that they are fallible. They are, to coin a phrase, human. They are they are normal. Yes, they're benevolent. God,
benevolent.
Words these days fail me. That's the one. But the point being is that it's kind of like they are portrayed almost godlike in many different scenarios, and they are just people trying to do their best.
But they're also really
they
big.
do have abilities.
The thing that I got the sense of, and I think the Acolyte did quite well, even though we only saw bits of it, was how many there are of them and how big the organization is. So it is actually possible to fly under the radar. There isn't, because like Phantom Menace, you kind of feel like, there's 12 people in the council, and you see Qui-Gon in there, and you see Anakin, and you see Obi-Wan, and it feels like every time that they do anything, they report directly to the top, to these 12 people all the time who are in the council. So there's just like, Anakin, go off with Padme and escort her back to Naboo, or go and investigate this mysterious thing. And you're literally going to like the person in charge at the top of the thing, which seemed kind of, all right, well, fair enough. Maybe you can have 12 people looking after a few hundred. This felt like there are like thousands and thousands of Jedi. There's like levels of things. All sorts of stuff is going on. People, there's like layers and layers. It's almost like the police force. There's just, like districts and things. Stuff doesn't necessarily get to the top at all unless it's like the absolute worst thing that's going off that gets bothered about. So it's really easy for, people to be unchecked, or a few bad apples or things to go wrong, and you can kind of cover up and move on. And there probably is 98% of people who are doing the right thing or whatever, but they're all just kind of working in these splinter wider cells of of organization.
Yeah. There's
Wait.
Jedi outposts on all sorts of planets everywhere. When we saw the temple itself, it was bustling. We never saw it in The Phantom Menace or any of the other prequels with that many people just walking around the corridors. It was pretty empty for such a big space. And in the prequels, there was no mention of other temples or other outposts. It was just all centralized on Coruscant. So, they've stopped being a part of the wider galaxy community. They'd really focused inwards and shrunk through that.
We've said it. We've said it in Matt's company before, when we last spoke to Matt, that the Jedi at this time feel like a big, bloated, disorganized, and very hierarchical corporation. In that you've got levels of management, mid-management, senior management, and the board. Maybe what we see, which is dysfunctional. And you see a certain amount of inefficiency and certainly nonsense coming from that structure. Maybe if there is a season 2 or a season 3, we see the reason why the time we get to the Phantom Menace that an awful lot of that hierarchy is being cut out. So that it's not as bureaucratic as perhaps it is at the moment during the time of the Acolyte.
Yeah, we use the analogy, and I think it does ring pretty true as, like the Catholic Church. It's like, not everything goes through Rome. It's like, you got the local church down the street, and you've got the parishioners and the everything else it's sort of this different level, and there's all all these things like that. But look, I don't know. I still felt bad for Sol. I still loved Sol as a character, and it was hard to see him lose his way, get a little bit too fixated on doing the right thing, and couldn't really see the forest for the trees. But I don't know, Matt, were you sad to see Sol go at the end? Did we sort of talk?
Yeah, he was a pretty dense character. I enjoyed him, and but yeah, he did seem just so conflicted and just very, very much into Osha, and just I don't know, he just lost his way over her. Like, just I don't know, he just wanted her so badly to be his apprentice, and she was just never meant to be. And
has there actually been a story? Has there ever been a Star Wars story? And I haven't read all the books of like a Jedi. I mean, apart from Anakin, obviously, like interacting with their family after they've joined the Order, like going back home and seeing their families, or running into them, or even recognizing them, or anything. Like, has that ever happened?
I don't think they would do that, because I think the reason why they plucked them from their family early is to avoid attachment.
I know, but like if you got, you're obviously out and about and doing stuff though. Like, it can happen.
I think in the book, I can't remember the name of it now, but the one with Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon Jinn in one of their first like
young adult adventures kind of thing.
Yeah, young adult, but one of their first like big sort of things. But I think in there, if my memory serves me, Obi-Wan mentions some awkward like communication between himself and his family, who he's like, I've got no connection with them now.
They're just a bunch of randos.
Yeah, and he was taken. He left them relatively late for a youngling to join the Jedi. Not as late as Anakin or Osha.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sol was very fixated. I think he became fixated on the idea that the Force had led him and everyone, the 4 of the Jedi to that planet. The Force had led him to the girls. So it was like, no, this is the destiny. This is the Force telling us this has to be. And and so that's why he was very fixated and was thinking, no, this must be it because this is what the Force is telling us.
Yeah, it was tied very intrinsically to the Virgins. So they're looking for a Virgins, and they find it, and then all of a sudden these girls are here, and it's all just like, well, this is all meant to be. This is, and then I think they're in danger. I don't know what these local nut bars are doing. They haven't got any other kids. What are they up to?
And Indara goading him, saying, you don't have a Padawan, and that's why, and, yeah.
But he was sort of like, he doesn't, like, obviously he hadn't connected, and then all of a sudden it was like, this is it. This is everything I've been looking for. It's right here. It's special. It's not just like some other regular snot-nosed Padawan that's just come off the conveyor belt. I've touched greatness.
Yeah. Yeah. And this Padawan surely won't complain about camping.
Yeah, God, Thurbon, what a win! I want to go home.
No, I don't blame him.
Camping, yeah.
7 weeks of that.
Hanging out with, like we said when we did things, hanging out with a bunch of adults the whole time. One of them doesn't even speak English.
With a metal detector for 7 weeks.
Yeah, collecting rocks.
I want to do fun stuff.
I'm like, shut up. This is fun.
This is where the fun begins.
Go collect some rocks.
Josh, going back to your earlier question, just as Mr. Mole jumped in, like a savior, has anyone? So, Matt, have you seen it since it originally aired again? Because I have, and did it change your viewing experience the second time round?
No, I'm yet to watch it again. We were going to watch the final. Me and my wife. I'm saving it for my wife. I'm watching the finale tonight, probably, or we watched the 7. I'm watching on her speed now. She's because House of Dragon, The Boys.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man.
How's she enjoying it though?
Yeah, she enjoys it.
She's engaged.
She's keeping up to a degree.
Fielding a few questions.
She hasn't stopped.
Yeah, she hasn't been like, well, let's not watch the last episode. Like, she's like, I want to see how this plays out, kind of thing. Yeah.
No, she keeps saying, when are you watching Star Wars? I'm like, okay. Cool.
What's the thing? It's like, well, Kat hasn't seen the last few episodes, and she's going, well, nothing that I do online would preclude me to being spoiled about this show. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, none of my Insta feeds, I'm not really on Twitter, none of my Facebook social stuff, none of the people I interact with outside of this house care about Star Wars in general. I'm interested in watching the show. I'm interested in finding out what happens, but, I'll get there when I'll get there. And, I look forward to finding out how the story ends.
One thing I haven't enjoyed, and unfortunately, I do have the algorithm and the degrees are separate. There are so many haters and whingers and nitpickers and naysayers. Like, there is just...
Is it still going on, or is it actually sort of tailed off?
It is still going. Like, there was just... and that's why, there's just people complaining about everything, and there's this one guy, and I literally see him complain about. He's even complaining about Deadpool now. Like, I was like, I feel like commenting. Do you like anything? Like,
yeah.
I think I wrote that
the same complainers. Sorry, I see as well, commending AI art and saying it's better than what we got. Better than what we got in the sequel trilogy. It's got to that point now where it's not even the subject matter doesn't even matter anymore. It's irrelevant. It's kind of like, if there's a reason to have a dig, so somebody with an astute understanding of AI and creating some of this AI art that's going on at the moment, they'll ultimately say, "Oh, it's better than we got from Disney." It's like, yeah, you're not even. You've got to a point now where you're not even objective anymore. You just want to have a go for having a go's sake. In which case, it's kind of like, you're kind of dead to me.
Well, I wrote that to Maggie Lovett was writing. I think it might have been a Deadpool review or something like that, and people were having a go at it, blah blah blah. And I just wrote back and said, like, are you actually literally allowed to like anything? Like, is there actually anything that you could like that people won't? At the same time, you go, well, if you're going to get shit on for liking everything, we might as well like everything. Like, who cares? But the thing is, all those angry YouTubers, you know who you are, you should be praying for a second season of The Acolyte. Like, think of your numbers. seriously, the best thing that could happen to you is a second season of The Acolyte. That gives you another 2 years of legs to complain about the same crap to the same old people, to the same audience. Otherwise, you've just got to find I suppose you'll just move on to the next thing. But like, you'll be better off if they turn around and they go, actually, you know what, Acolyte, we're one and done. You get one victory lap video where you go, we won.
Well, they won't do one.
We show, yeah, but even then, you'll get a lot more if it actually. You get a lot more videos, a lot more views if you get a second season to whinge about. Yeah. So shut your holes and hope that it happens.
I think, unfairly, I think because Leslie Headland's connection to Harvey Weinstein in a previous life attracted.
No, that's got nothing to do with it.
Instant
it's
hate.
The fact she's a gay woman. If she wasn't a gay, if this is Dave Filoni's Acolyte, people would be creaming their pants about it.
Be absolutely.
It's got nothing to do with Harvey Weinstein. No one gives a shit about Harvey
Weinstein. No, been.
It's just another thing to dig up because they don't want to actually say because a lady made it, and she might know more about Star Wars than they do. So
this is the thing that they would bring up that yes, she used to work for Harvey Weinstein. But the thing is, a lot of those same people who then go her for that, it's like you were probably defending Harvey Weinstein or not believing the women. So, excuse me, but shut the fuck up.
Quentin Tarantino worked for Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, like a lot of people did. It's pretty hard, during that era of the 90s, 2000s, to have not had some connection.
Yeah, it's an irrelevant argument.
Yeah. Anyway, on my socials, I didn't directly see any negatives or people going it. I only saw it if people reposted or screenshotted something, or if I, glanced at the comment section on Star Wars on Insta or something on Facebook, whatever, or on Twitter. And, I did a couple of live streams for Star Walking Fan Club. And some of the comments on those live streams, it was like, why are you turning up to a live stream?
Yeah,
if you don't like it, why are you turning up to a live stream?
Yeah, it's weird. And again, I think 95% of people who were going to hate it, regardless what they saw. And like we said, we've got friends it didn't jive with as much, but it's always kind of like, oh yeah, that was all right. I didn't mind that bit. That bit didn't work. Skeleton Crew will be interesting. I just don't think it's going to get the,
But the law of definitions, we're not all going to like everything at the same time, at the same place, at the same moment, and so on and so forth. The whole great thing about what I like about where we are at the moment with Star Wars is that they are looking at different genres, including different, trying to really, really represent very, very different types of demographic and appeal to certain, almost going through that PG R rating and maybe not R rating, but certainly trying to appeal to a more mature audience, a very, very young audience, and everything in between. And it's like you cherry pick what you need based on your taste and your demographic. The whole point of having this very, very broad palette of content is that it's not designed. Not everything is designed for you. It's meant to include people that aren't you as well as you, if that makes sense. And I think we're at a really exciting time. And I said to you guys before, I came into this whole thing with extremely low expectations. When you consider what we've had before, less so much with The Mandalorian because that was something very, very new, but certainly with Kenobi, it's definitely with Kenobi, and most definitely with Ahsoka as well. There are preconceptions and some standards, if you like, and some maybe some cameos, but also some touch points that you expect in that production because you have history with those characters. I had very, very low expectations going into this because we're going into something new, and I really respect I respect this particular production because it is something new. I like what it is more so than the actual content, if you like. The fact that it is something new and it breaks us out of that that 60 to 80 year time frame, which we seem to be landlocked to at this moment in time with what is seen as good Star Wars content. And then secondly, the subject matter I didn't have particularly any interest in. Whether I've talked about it on this pod or other pods, the mysticism of the Force and all that kind of stuff, and Jedi in general, and these heroes with laser swords aren't the reason why I originally got engaged with Star Wars and the reason why I like Star Wars. But despite the fact that it's an endemic part of Star Wars, and so therefore, because my expectations were so low, I've had a really, really good blast. And I get that it's not for everyone's taste, but that's okay. There's something else around the corner. What we don't want to do is encourage Star Wars to be cancelled, because then we've got nothing at all. And those people that believe that they've won something by winning the battle with Disney, they've got nothing else there. I mean, is that how we?
That's got to put
is
them
that
in
really
charge.
what they want as their legacy?
I don't think. Is the end game is to like fire Kathy Kennedy or what? It's not like you get Star. You don't get Star Wars at the end. It's not like when it's done they give
Kathy
it to
Kennedy.
you.
It's going to be somebody else.
Yeah, it's a silly. So, let's just pivot on to what actually could happen in Acolyte season 2. Mole, where could you go? Do you
Young Sheev.
Do you bring young? Do you do a big time jumpy and you jump another 20 years forward, or do you pick up where you left? I feel there is an immediacy in the way that it ended, obviously, with Osha and Chimere, holding hands, looking over that water, and suffice to say, they're not the apprentices forever.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't. I don't know. I guess you continue down that path, and you could sort of stay in that time zone and sort of play in that area, but you wouldn't really. I don't know. You could sort
I
of.
wouldn't want them to progress too far forward. I don't want them to get too close to the Phantom Menace. At the moment they've got that pretty clear
runway,
sort of sandbox to play in. That they can do a lot of different things. Yes, having Plagueis in there sort of means, okay, we have to have certain things happening, but, there is a lot of, sandbox to play because, Palpatine, I don't know how old he is in the Phantom Menace.
Probably 50-odd, maybe.
But, there's a fair bit of.
Well, it's not his story.
I
mean, there's enough story about
It's
Palpatine.
not his story.
Like, we'll get to Palpatine when we get to Palpatine. Like in the here and now, we've got Chimere, who is the apprentice with his acolyte now, and there's a master who's aware of what's going on. So he's either like, are these two looking to usurp me? Do I get rid of him, get her? She seems to be, having a connection to being able to manipulate life. She seems to be inheriting some of these skills. Is that important? Where's the Jedi Order at this stage? Are we covering up a cover-up? Is Master Soul reputation dead and buried and that's it? Does anybody fight the corner to clear Master Soul's name and expose things? Does it get worse? Does this get partially exposed and this is where the Senate basically just like, all right, from now on you got to answer to us? Is there a tipping point that kind of actually brings them in where they're like, nah, you guys can't be operating unchecked anymore?
Yeah, I definitely think the Senate sort of conflict, you could sort of see that the tension between the Jedi and the Senate was escalating, and the faith between them was sort of wavering a bit. I think as you get towards the Phantom Menace, like tensions were definitely building there to boiling point as well. I think the breakdown between politics and sort of security / religious force will get to a tipping point, and that power struggle will be there as well. But I mean, I think what everyone really wants to see one day is Sheev and Plagueis. But you can't. That's the main.
What do you think
course.
Plagueis sounds like when he talks? Do you think he's like, more like, "What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all?"
10th level, bring all your soldiers. I don't know.
Beaker from from Muppet Show.
Meep, 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 meep. He's like, "Oh, that's very interesting." Meep, 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 meep. Yeah, I don't know, because he's he's the same as the banking clan, isn't that his?
He's immune.
Yeah, he's the banking clan will honor your. Like, he might have a very posh voice. He's like,
Come here, I have a present for you.
here,
Or
boy.
is he? Or is he? I mean, we saw a very, very shrouded figure that looked a little bit like the concept art or the fan art of Plagueis. I mean, I would love. Wouldn't it be amazing that we find out that Mother Coral survived but she got really burnt up really badly in the fire, and what we think is the moon, what we think is a male alien character that is a moon, that is Plagueis, is actually a female character, deformed female character that was going to be Plagueis all along. That would be amazing. I'd love that. The haters. The haters online will be
haters
amazing.
petrol for the fire.
Trying to burn the place down.
Plagueis was actually a woman all along. There you go, boys. Get on with it.
He does get referred to as a he, though.
He does.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
You're Mance Raider. I'm going to light the biggest fire they've ever seen.
We'll put that on a T-shirt. I feel like it'll be a close story taking place not long afterwards. I don't think there'll be too much of a time jump. I think they
might Last Jedi it.
Yeah, I potentially. I think there will be an impetus of sort of somewhat of kind of like to get the story moving. Obviously, you got May's got her memory wiped and all that kind of stuff's being Venestra's needing to explore what happened to her student and all those sort of things. I don't know, Catherine. What do you reckon? What do you want to see season 2?
I'd like to see
Justice for Jackie.
Venestra's pupil. You know what happened there. You know, like what made her think that Camille was dead. You know, what made her suspicious of him, or what happened there. But also, yes, what's the very sad ending that I'm sure Camille and Osha are going to have. But yes, also what's going to go on with the politics of it all, the relationship between the Jedi and the Senate, because was it David Harrowood who was brought in to be that senator for 2 scenes in which he absolutely killed it, by the way. Absolutely killed it. But you don't bring him on for 2 scenes. So
the Kanye Osha thing is interesting, isn't it? Because we've never really, how does a bad, like a Sith couple work, or a bad, if they're gone bad, like especially when they're sort of vying for the same position.
Have I ever told you the tragedy of Darth Khmer?
Yeah, he got betrayed, stabbed in the back by his girlfriend because she wanted the top job. Like it's you feel like someone's going to betray someone at some stage, and who gets their heart broken, and can you really trust them? And I think that's quite an interesting dynamic to play out, because it's like, well, there are no rules really. It's it's quite a fascinating sort of thing. We've never really played in that area. We haven't even really touched on Jedi in a relationship before. Certainly not in live action. And how does that work when you flip the coin? Normally they're all kind of gross-looking dudes, the Sith, and now you've kind of got a sexy couple. It sort of flips the script a little bit. I don't know whether it was ever, Palpatine and Plagueis had a thing going on or anything like that. It's not usually that kind of relationship, but I don't know. I've sort of Mole. What do you reckon, mate? We've rounded near the end here. We've kind of burnt through time here, but where do we sit? Is this thing coming back or not? Yes or no?
I think it's coming back. I mean, they sunk $180 million into it. And the reports were that it was very well received from a streaming data point.
And ultimately, that's all that matters, isn't it? There's enough fans that like it.
The Stranger's helmet was it was bought millions of them within 24 hours, and the reports were not bad for a show that everyone seems to hate. So I mean, I want one. Even I want one of those helmets. Like, that's a sick helmet. I don't have room for it. I'll figure it out. I'll just buy another 4. Then I've got room for 3 more. Yeah. So look, bring it on. I mean, I saw a great meme today. It was like Snoop Dogg with his eyes absolutely popping out of his head, and the quote was Yoda when Vanestra tells him all the shit she's been up to lately.
That was Molly Damon's handiwork on that one, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Shout out, Molly, for listening. There's a lot of meat on the bone, and it's done great numbers. It's got enough of it. It's got a very loyal following for the people who love it. The people who hate it, they're not going to change their minds anyway. And in all the interviews, Leslie Headland didn't, at least on the way she spoke in the interviews, she didn't seem that worried about it, and Lucasfilm didn't seem that worried about it, and it seemed like they were fully prepared that there was going to be people who have a problem with it, and whatever, they'll just go about their business. And it's not the first time people have complained about stuff in Star Wars. They always find their audience. There's always people who love certain things.
If you ever read some of the letters to editors and things after Empire Strikes Back, a lot of fans didn't like that at the time.
Yeah. And they published them as well.
Yeah.
There was an old Star Wars fan club back in '79, and they published some of the fan letters that were in their fan magazine, and there were a lot of angry people.
And people actually had to take the time to sit down, get a pen out, write it down, and post it away, get a stamp and an envelope, and do it old school style. Andy,
don't we still do that?
Yeah, we can still if you like.
Okay,
Andy, before we kick this home, what would you like to see season 2 of The Acolyte?
I'd like to see it go back. I'd like to go back even further. I think we've got established characters and some amazing actors, and I would like to see some kind of perverse spin that, AKA George Lucas-esque, that takes us back 50 years prior to the events of The Acolyte, and then maybe season 3 being a wrap up to. So in other words, we get a prequel and a sequel.
Oh, like High Republic style.
I was going to say not only akin to the movies, but also from what I understand, how the High Republic has also been published as well, because I think that creates some really juicy, tenuous connective tissue that can make a franchise a little bit more robust. But yeah, no, I love it. One thing I will say before I go is that, and we never got around to it. I do recommend anyone that may well be on the fence as to whether they liked it or not, do watch. If you can, blast it out in one go. I really, really recommend it, because there were some episodes that didn't land with me, particularly the flashback episodes, didn't land with me as much as the rest of the content, or the real time content, or the here and now content. And watching it back to back, those episodes are not only pivotal, but really, really good that they are placed where they are. And it actually, I spoke to Sean about this a couple of weeks ago, was actually made it clear to me that actually, with a little bit of clever editing and maybe some rewriting, it actually would have made a really wicked movie. But anyway, that's how I.
Yeah, I have heard a few people sort of saying, "Oh, we should have done all the flashbacks up front," but they're placed it absolutely perfect. No, I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean. But I've heard that argument going, no, they have to be where they are, because you learn enough about the characters at certain points for them to make sense.
Yeah, you need. It was a bit like it was a bit like in The Last Jedi, where you get different perspectives and you get more of the story later on as the plot progresses. I thought it was really, really cool, and I keep repeating myself. It's very, very Knives Out-esque, if you know what I mean. In that you see a certain point of view, and then you see another point of view as the real time events go forward that make that make sense and create context. It's good. It's really good.
Dropping Ryan Johnson in here if we haven't upset enough people enough as it is. Goodness me.
Get in.
Well, thank you guys. I feel like we could just keep going all night, but I know we started a little bit late, but it worked well because we got more mole. Otherwise, we would have got mole for 10 minutes. So nicely done on there. But yeah, look, thanks, guys. We've sort of said all the thank yous for going on the ride of all of this, but it was good to come back and touch base and stuff. And I think we'll be talking about this for a long time to come, and we'll all get you guys back on. Catherine, you're signaling that you need one more little thing. What do you got for us to send us home?
So I am planning that Geek Pod this weekend, and we'll talking about the Acolyte, but sort of springboarding from the Acolyte into whole other sort of discussions. It'll be, hopefully, if it comes together. So please come listen to that when it drops.
Awesome. Absolutely. Just Shillin, also coming out on the regular, Andy. Doing a good job over there.
We're out. We're recording tonight. We might not make sense, but we're having fun.
And 3 Men and a Baby Yoda podcast pending. Keep an eye on your podcatchers. Pause. Currently, well, yeah.
It's been 80 years.
Pepper Pod's in the same thing, and I'm actually seeing Matt on the weekend. So maybe we'll record one at the footy, but who knows? But these things happen. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back. There's a few guests in the pipeline when we get back to regular shows. People who haven't been on. People from bigger Star Wars related things as well. So keep an eye on that.
Don't we feel small?
No, you're the biggest and the best, you guys.
Oh,
you always are. But thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Josh.
And we'll see you soon.
Josh.
Bye.
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 Bye.